Okay, we're back. Going to Elf. So, this is a common entrance. These elves behind grates, and they will generally summon things and make your life difficult. But the mages themselves are easy to underestimate. The thing is, they have like 6 books possible, and every one of the books has a spell that does decent damage to you. Like this, you can't really have a resistance against, but this one's like fire partially. This one's negative. This one's electric. This one's ice. This one's fire. So the name of the game in Elf is Omni Resistance. You really want to be resistant to like everything, because otherwise these Deep Elf mages, if you look up a Deep Elf mage and you look at some of the stuff it can do, well, that's 3d17 damage from Bolt of Fire. That's almost 60 damage. And since GDR doesn't apply, it could do that 60 damage every time. So if you've got like 3 Deep Elf mages next to you and you don't have any fire resistance, 6, 12, 18, you could take 180 damage. And that's just the low level Deep Elf. And that's why I say this is the most dangerous place in the game, because everything in here can just murder you. And that's assuming you don't have resistances, but even if you do have resistances, the higher level ones. Oh, let's get these in a line. So if we miss one, we hit the others. Okay. We're going to Yaro's this archer, because he starts with repel missiles up. It has the fun effect of mutating everything around it. But yeah, the long story short is, in here, you really want to be able to quickly reset fights. Very important. Okay. I'm really tempted to train like summons and translocations. As silly as it is to rush to a level 7 spell, I just love Malign Gateway so much. It's hard to say no. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna get those things to 22 though, because I'm stubborn like that. And then we'll see if we have enough experience left over. We probably won't, if I go that far, but whatever. Alright, doing a little inventory management here. I think we can drop these Scrolls of Torment. Trying to stay in a line here so they can't get out to bother me. Yours, as you can see, is fairly invaluable. Oh look, it's Donald. Donald likes to buff himself, so Donald gets Yarad. Put a little distance between me and him. He actually walks into the portal. I don't know the exact stats on what Malmutate does to an enemy. Actually, I'll take a look. It's wretched. Yeah, -8 AC to -25% HD. So 8 AC is a pretty intense debuff. And we'll put some distance between him and us every time he buffs, because we want to Yaris him, but we also don't want to mutate ourselves. And not to mention, we don't want to get hit by a hasted or mighted Donald. He's actually fairly strong. He's not the pushover he once was. Now, with the longbow, I'm gonna tear through most of this stuff, and that's nice, but this place really does tend towards making you feel cocky, and then you lose, because it's like, oh, I'm so strong, I can't lose, and then you eat that 180 damage from 3 bolts in a row, and it's like, wow, how did this happen? I killed all these elves so easily before. Well, it's just something you gotta be aware of. Oops. Yeah, like all these elf mages. It's kind of imperative that we make it so we can only get bolted by one of them at once. And that's rather difficult because, as you can see, they can blink behind me. And boy, do they like to do it. And we haven't even gotten to the quote-unquote fun of fighting the higher level elves like this guy. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but now we're going to have to fight a lot of them. They can banish you, they can corrosive bolt you, they can hellfire you. You really want to take them out quickly. So we're going to portal projectile, and we're going to heroism. And we'll fight him here. We'll take him out before we take out the mage because his damage cap is just so much higher. I see that he's swapped places, so let's finish him off with lightning bolts. See, he could have, every single time I lightning bolted there with the rod, that could have been him corrosive bolting me. For how much damage? Well, I don't know. Let's take a look. I'm sure that the cap is probably something ludicrous, like 100. Okay, no, it's 60, but remember, he's hasted, so he could just shoot it twice in a row. So a damage cap of close to 120 every time I do something to him. That doesn't sound like a fun time to me. If I had our core, that would be nice. Certainly, I could pop on that plate mail I found earlier, but Pog is more useful here, probably, than... Oh, right. You will run into these animated weapons here as well. Relatively hard to take out for a lot of characters just because they have good EV. There are some useful tricks to killing them, even if they're immune to a lot of damage, a lot of energy damage. That doesn't mean that you can't use, like, if you're a caster, you could use Mystic Blast or something that just does neutral damage, or whatever you want to call it, just straight up non-energy damage. So you don't want to try to fireball them, that's not going to work, since they're actually not just resistant, they are immune. Oh wait, no they're not, they're very resistant, so I guess you could fireball it to death. They're immune to electricity. But the best thing to do is to just be able to tank them and swing on them until they're dead. Or you can use invisible. They don't see invisible, so that's one trick. They're certainly vulnerable to stabbing. Oh, hey, potion of curing, teleportation, scroll, that's good stuff. Sack of spiders, potion of might. Some decent stuff for sale here. We have quite a lot of gold. I wish I had more MR because I'd like to wear that +4 slaying ring. But yeah, certain characters will have a lot of trouble with animated weapons. That was a good malmutate. You can pog away from these guys and malmutate some more with Yara's. Yara's is an excellent spell to have in here, because almost everything in here likes to haste itself. In fact, we probably should have Yara'd the, come to think of it, we should have Yara'd the sorcerer that hasted himself. Because nothing is worse than fighting something that can do like 60 to 100 damage to you, one shot, and then now it's doubled up its offensive capabilities via haste. But you can just say, no, I'm taking that away, and that's why Yara's is such a good spell. It's a little bit cheesy, but I mean, it's really, it's the use case, you know, that is, it's what the spell is for, so, whatever. Very limited use spell, but if you're going to use it, this is the place. In fact, I guess if I, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I would say that if you really want to do elf, and you're not like a Trog worshiper, and Yaras has spawned, you should invest the experience 100% of the time, because just the overall usefulness of it is pretty high in here. I'm actually going to train a little bit more of it. Wow, did I really train 11 transmutations just for Yaras? That's... Wow, that's a little silly. I'm going to train like a little bit more. That is quite an investment, come to think of it. It is a level 5 spell, so if you're not overflowing with experience, maybe it's a questionable choice. But hey, you can Yaras yourself to clear off Petrify, I believe. So that's one option. Interesting potions and rings and stuff here, but nothing we really want except for these sacks and boxes. Can never have too many sacks of spiders. Is Kirky down here, or is it just a stray hog? I guess it was a stray hog. Yeah, so there's one school of thought that says maybe you should just dive to Elf 3. I like to clear it because I do a lot of stair dancing. If I'm going to be in here, I like to clear it, and that makes it just a little bit easier if I need to go up and down. I'm less likely to have the, oh, I went upstairs and now there are elves surrounding me problem. By the way, you can Yaras, hilariously enough, you can Yaras the might off of orcs, even though it's doesn't really seem to be, to me, it doesn't seem to be a magical ability. Doesn't matter. A lot of orcs here. I was thinking it was Saint Roka at first, but really it's just one of those big square vaults, I think. With all these smiters, we don't want to assume we can't die, so let's get on a staircase. Yeah, this is one of those rectangular or square vaults that just has nothing but a ton of dudes in it. Portal projectile is really handy for summoners. If they start doing this nonsense, you just portal projectile past all of their stuff. Alright, so as you probably know, there's this place that used to be its own branch called the Hall of Blades here, behind this ruined gate. We're not going to bother to go in. It might be a good idea for you if you're really badly in need of a particular weapon. A lot of animated weapons in there, blade masters, and so on and so forth. I like to magic map here if I have a few scrolls lying around. I only have the one, so I'm not going to. Orange crystal statue. Shadow creatures and mass confusion. Let's just see if we can kill him. Okay, cool. Not bad. Okay, I probably shouldn't be auto-exploring in here since we could certainly auto-explore into the vault, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Alright, we have in fact found the vault. So first thing, this demonologist can summon shadow fiends and stuff. He can banish us, but not anymore because we have good MR. So let's dig. Yeah, and so he's already summoned a Hell Sentinel. So that's actually a better choice in this scenario because, well, it's not gonna Hellfire us from you know, when it's next to its master, it's not going to Hellfire me and kill its owner. Okay, so I'm going to Heroism, I'm going to Finesse. One thing you can do is you can make a kill hole like this. If you were melee, you would probably dig again, like right here, like right on this square here, because you would want to have only one square available to you, and then you could like shout a lot. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use this big hallway because I'm a bow user. I am going to shout. It's kind of difficult to pull things out of the vault. They're marked in such a way that they don't like to... They're like set to non-patrolling, or maybe it's patrolling, I'm not sure which. Okay, let's see if we can kill this guy before he summons anything too nasty. Portal projectile. And we'll go backwards here. We will finesse. Blade Masters are... He only has short swords. They can spawn with quick blades, but they do quite a lot of damage very quickly. Not super concerned in this scenario because I have good AC at this point, but it's gonna finesse nonetheless. I mean, essentially you want to like slowly pull things out of this vault, ideally one at a time. Like this guy, you know, he could just start damnationing us right now, but I'm still finessed, so let's just start firing and not waste a turn trying to heroism. Let's turn fighting, dodging, and armor back on. We've got Yara's down to 6%. I'm more comfortable with that. As a bow user, I'm more comfortable just shooting in front of my kill hole at these guys, as long as there's only one, because I can always duck into my kill hole. I'll turn off this exclusion. Okay, the High Priests also have a form of damnation, only it's call down versus hurl. I believe that's the one that's smite targeted. Could have that backwards though. And they can do a number of other sort of goofy things, but without any other elves around, they're not as dangerous. They have a boosting effect though on the other elves, making them cast more often. So that's a good reason not to fight multiples of elves at the same time. See if I can take this guy without using finesse or anything. Okay, this guy's hasted, so I'll Yara's him, and you really want to focus down these archers because they do fire rather fast. Let's Lamp of Fire all these dudes. And we can watch as Lamp of Fire completely and totally lets us down. What a shame. Which it often does. I really wish that the devs would change Lamp of Fire to be just a little more reliable. Okay, we got quite a few elves here. Focus down on this sorcerer who has the Brutus shielding. That's an interesting item. We're not going to wear it, but interesting nonetheless. Let's Pog. What is happening? Really attack while wielding the longbow. It thinks there's a monster here. Is it? Oh, it's a battle sphere. I just couldn't see it. Derp. Let's Pog again. Heroism. Yara's this guy, so he's no longer hasted. He Hellfires us. That's okay for now. And we'll try to take him out This is a little bit more than I'd like to be fighting at the same time. But this guy can't Hellfire us. Only this guy, and if there was a priest, can do Hellfire. But this guy could summon something that could do horrible things to us at any moment. So I'm going to Scattershot. I'm going to take the Pog. I'm going to kill the Demonologist as well. Of course, I'm going to Yara's the Elementalist because while it has Repel Missiles in its spellbook, it also just starts with it up. So Portal Projectiles are really useful for these guys. They'll turn the walls into Earth Elementals and make it rather difficult for you to kill them. By the way, you can turn off Portal Projectile at any moment, and it's instantaneous. So it's something you want to do if you would like to be able to shoot past things. If you want, like, the chance of doing that. If you miss, you know, hitting the thing behind it. Alright, let's get out of here. Large abominations are not fun to fight. Let's close this door. I don't think they can open doors. No, they cannot. They should still be here. I think they're permanent. The Death Mages can make those. But they do a lot of damage. I mean, you get them when you cast Summon Horrible Things, so you don't want to fight them unless you're at full hit points, probably. Okay, let's Pog. So we have the ability to get away if we need to. Annihilators can do a lot of damage, so it's in your best interests to have an escape plan for those guys. So we should have this thing almost cleared out. That's quite a lot of elves we've killed. Oh hey, my favorite cloak, Starlight. We will absolutely swap it on for the Cloak of Resistance. We lose some stealth, which we don't care about, but we get 4 points of EV, which is awesome. We get a point of RC+, which, not bad. And most importantly, we get Arlek. So this was worth it. This little trip was worth it. We got a flying RF ring. Don't really need that. We'll drop it. Oh, and you know what? We have that extra pip of magic resistance now, so we will pop on robustness and have 43 AC and still have 3 pips of MR, and we'll just swap on protection from magic if we need it. Manual of Fighting. Well, that's not half bad. Very rewarding. Very, very rewarding elf trip. Although elf usually is fairly rewarding. I mean, there is just a lot of loot in here. It's high risk, high reward. So if you think you can take it, fine. I tend to avoid it just because it tends to be a bit of a crapshoot. On this character, of course, I was confident enough that, you know, with Yaras and everything and being a bow user, I figured that there wasn't a lot that could happen here. Let's Portal Projectile. Why am I still engulfed, even though I'm not next to the, like, they've swapped places, and yet I'm still engulfed. I feel like that's a bug. But it ends as soon as the turn passes, so maybe it's fine. Okay, we'll identify this ring. Wow. What a nice ring. We don't need it anymore now that we have the Cloak of Starlight, but isn't that nice? It starts to feel odd deeper into the game when you start seeing amazing rings like this and you're just like, I don't need it. And, you know, it's like if you found that on floor 1, you would be ecstatic, you know. Okay, a lot of potions we would like to have. It's always good to have more haste. Haste is the best thing in the game. Artifact boots, which we'll identify. They're really good. This is honestly outrageous, the kind of boots we've been given this game. I'm not going to wear it because I have running, and running is just really good, but I am tempted. Nice, more potions of haste. Scroll of summoning. A lot of good stuff for sale here. Oh man, the +8 longbow Zephyr, which is speed. Arguably the best brand in the game, and we have spent so much of our gold we can't afford it. That I might swap off my longbow for, because all I'm getting out of it is our poise and RF+, which is, I mean, it's nice to have our poise in Zot. I don't know. With the 8 decks, it is giving me 4 points of EV, and Velocity is a perfectly fine brand. I'm sure that Zephyr would do more damage in terms of like turns spent versus damage done, but I'm not so sure that it's actually worth it, as tempting as it is. That is a fun find, though. I mean, how often do you get to use Zephyr and be a longbow user? Of course, it's an unrand, meaning that it was, it's something that has set stats. Man, really having some inventory problems here. We'll drop this fancy ring. I don't know why I'm wearing it or holding it. Jeez, so much stuff. Okay, we'll drop one of the scatter shots. Identify this ring. Very good, but we don't need it. Let's kill the lost soul first. Okay, maybe not. Let's just kill the death mage so that the lost souls can't revive it again. Really wish I had more inventory slots. Like if the game just gave you 3 more inventory slots, it would be perfect. It's at the exact number that makes it annoying to do inventory management. Or even 1 more slot would be incredible. What did I pick up? Okay, whatever. I'll just use up my last scroll of identify on something stupid. We're not going to need those anymore, really. Not sure. I thought that I could have sworn we picked up a wand or something that we didn't want, but maybe not. No, this is sufficient. Okay, cool. So just clear out the rest of this. We've probably gotten all the particularly good loot in here. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to use Zephyr this game, just because it would lower me a pip of FR, it would take off my R poise, and I would lose 4 points of EV, And for what? Slightly more damage? I mean, come on, a +9 longbow velocity is... Trust me, it's sufficient. Maybe that's not optimal, maybe it is. Hard to say. I mean, in terms of damage, I am sure that Zephyr does more. But I'm not necessarily only optimizing damage. Well, I mean, actually, the longbow velocity technically does more damage per shot, but speed does more damage, of course, over time. You get more chances to hit. Okay, so that's pretty much everything in Elf 3. So we've cleared out the vault. Like I said, we will not be going into the Hall of Blades because we have no reason to. A little bit of extra experience, but not worth the trouble, not worth the risk. There could always be like a distortion brand weapon in there, and then we get a Bist, and that's never fun. Not that we couldn't handle it at this point, probably, but nah, it's not really worth it to me. Hopefully, we'll use up our manual of fighting soon. Okay, so next time we'll go straight to depths. And we'll go to Zot, and we'll finish the game. I don't know how those videos will be split up. Probably, I mean, I might do it all in one shot, maybe not. Depends on how annoying Depths is. Sometimes you'll get some crazy vault layout that takes like 30 minutes to do a single floor, so try to keep these videos around an hour maximum, just so you can kind of watch them in chunks without devoting a ton of time to it. So okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed, and next time we'll head into Depths and we'll see what happens.